Okay, welcome everybody. Let's call the meeting to order. May we please have roll call?
Certainly. Committee member Knight,
Present.
committee member Wheaton,
Here.
committee member Harrington,
Present.
committee member Lumiere,
Present.
committee member Moon,
Present.
committee member Lawrence,
Present.
committee member Barney,
Present.
committee member Castillo White,
Here.
committee member Rizzo,
Here.
Chair Reynolds,
Here.
and committee member Stephenson.
Here.
All right. For those of you in the room, let's please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, and Victoria lead us tonight.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. So yeah, first off, would like to welcome Shelby Stephenson, and I believe also Cynthia Velasquez. And then let's see, we have 3 people as well with CAC membership. I'm sorry if I jumped ahead.
Oh, no, go ahead.
Renewals, myself, Diane, and Victoria. And so we're gonna be thanking you, Heidi. I'll let you take over. Go for it.
Oh, yes, I just, Heidi's term is complete, so thank you, Heidi, for all her service. And you will be able to find her with the Town Center Advisory Board and the Public Safety Equity Advisory Committee.
That's right. Good deal. Is she on tonight with us?
No, I don't believe so, but I
Alright.
just wanted to note.
I'll make sure to reach out and say hey to her.
Mhm.
Okay. Now for the fun part where we throw the new people out of the frying pan into the fire. We elect the new chair and vice chair. It's always like the weirdest thing to do. First time somebody gets on the meeting, it's like, hey, you don't have to help with somebody. So do you have anything in particular we need to do, or?
So now we can just start by asking for nominations for, I would do chair first, and then we'll continue on with the new chair if there's a new chair. And then we can do vice chair. And after we organize that, then we'll do Town Center Advisory Board. Sound good?
Excellent.
Okay.
And it's an annual chair and vice chair. I think we do it the first meeting of the year or in July. And I suppose let's go ahead and open nominations for the chair. And I don't know, am I able to make a nomination? I'd like to nominate Shelly. She did an amazing job this last year, and I want to throw my nomination for Shelly in there.
So we don't need a second, so you can just go for a vote, and then I would be a fine vote unless.
I'll second.
Okay. So say that again, Melissa. Can you explain that to us?
You can do an aye and nay vote if you like.
Okay. Are there any additional nominations for chair? Okay, seeing none. Oh, David.
I move the nominations.
All right. So let's go ahead and move to the vote. Simple yay or nay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Is there any opposition?
Aye.
Is there any opposition? All right. Well, hey, congratulations, Shelley. I'm excited to have you lead us again this next year.
Thank you.
Let's open up nominations for vice chair then. Diane.
I would like to nominate Will Knight for co-chair.
Thank you. If there's anybody else that would like to try it, I'm happy to step aside. Is there anyone else or any other nominations? Okay, I'm so interested. Okay. Do you want to do like we did this last year? Have you as well? to step in for me when I'm gone? Would you like to try it this year? I'll be happy to step aside. Okay. Well, then I will step aside and remove myself from the nomination. Are there any further nominations? Okay, seeing none. Let's go ahead and open up for a vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
What are we saying aye to?
Aye.
Sorry.
Because you're the only one that's been nominated right now.
Oh, I'm sorry. I want to nominate Chris. I'm sorry about this. And then I am going to remove myself from the content or from the nomination. Are there any other coach or vice chair nominations?
Do we need a second?
We don't need a second for this particular vote.
Okay. Seeing none, let's move to the vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Is there
Aye.
Sorry, is there any opposition? All right, well, seeing none, congratulations, Chris.
Thank you.
As you guys can see, I'm totally out of practice here, so bear with me tonight. Okay, let's move on to B. Is that right? Town Center Advisory Board. Do you want
Would
to
you like to
lead
lead the
tonight,
meeting?
or do you want me to continue tonight?
I guess if we can,
All right, man, let's do it. Go for it.
Yeah, you can work together too,
Oh, yeah.
or and help prepare for next time, however you want to do it.
appreciate that, actually.
I'm right here.
So then we need to, so then we need nominations for the Town Center Advisory Board.
Can we,
So on this one, guys, on the Town Center Advisory Board, who do we have currently on the committee, on our committee, that is also a member of that board?
So currently, yes, we have Diane Castillo-White is a elected member of the Town Center Advisory Board. So what we will be doing tonight is electing a direct appointment from the Citizen Advisory Committee. Each of the committees will have one direct appointment. That will be a one-year term. And so we'll have two people really serving, but the one-year term that we elect tonight will be the main person that is carrying information back and forth, of course, working with you as well as a longer appointment directly with the Town Center Advisory Board.
So what that means is Diane is not eligible to be a member, our elected person. She sits on the board already, so we have to elect somebody in addition to Diane. Yes, Paul.
Thank you, Sally. I wanted to kind of step in here. The screen I'm looking at shows, I think there's an incorrect description of the at-large members' terms. It reads 2 full 2-year terms and 3 partial 1-year terms. I think it's actually of the 5, there are 2 3-year terms, 2 2-year terms, and 1 1-year term. I have the list in front of me, actually, of who got each term.
Thank you, Paul.
Could you just give a quick explanation, kind of the scope of the board, what nights they're expected to meet, when the next meeting is going to be, monthly, quarterly, those sort of things. That way we can
Sure.
have a better idea of what they'd be in for.
Okay, yes, so this is for a newly formed board that's just starting in 2022. It's the Town Center Advisory Board. The main tasks that this board will be working on is reviewing the town center plan. And that's the plan that we've kind of been working on along with the transportation system plan. So we've been looking to some of the transportation related projects that are from that town center plan and adopting them into the transportation system plan. So this will be an even bigger look at that town center plan that was adopted around 2020, 2021. So it'll be looking at the projects that are adopted in there, working on implementation, refining those plans and recommending what we should be addressing as a city moving forward from that plan. It will also include a parking study that's expected to commence in about 3 to 6 months. And also providing feedback, sort of like Planning Commission might, on proposed development that is within that town center urban renewal area. They are likely to meet, I don't believe this is firm yet. Do you know, Diane, if there's a firm date? I heard second Thursdays. Is that?
I heard Thursday, but I'm not sure which
Okay.
part.
Okay. I think that the newly appointed board will finalize the date, but I believe it's kind of earmarked for second Thursdays. The staff liaison will be Marley. And so again, this will be for, this particular one will be for the 1-year direct appointment term.
So that being said, do we have any nominations for this position?
And you may nominate yourself if you wish. So,
May I ask, does anyone have any specific interest? Anybody just have Victoria? So you would love to be on that? Okay. Does anyone else have any burning desire to be on the town center? Well, with that being said, I would like to nominate Victoria. Did I see Nicole with a hand?
Are you talking about the one appointment per city? Is this the liaison position that you're talking about?
yes, it's kind of like a liaison, but it's a directly appointed member.
Oh, okay. I withdraw my hand. But I wouldn't mind being one of the other partial term people if no one else is interested.
So thank you, Nicole. I believe the 5 direct appointments have already been filled. Is that correct? And so now, yes.
Yes, they're filled. We have position 1 is Tanny Stephenson, position 2, John Leamy, position 3 is Diane Castillo, and position 4 is Zach Andrews, position 5 is Carol Allen, and Heidi Hinshaw is the alternate.
And so I believe, Nicole, that we are looking to nominate a specific person from our group to participate and then be able to come back and report to us, but also be a voting member and making decisions and during that process.
Got it. Sorry, I was a little confused there for a second. Now, if Victoria is interested, that's great.
I'm on other committees, but if you're really interested in this, that's fine, I'll withdraw.
Will, I was wondering if you were interested in the, I don't want to nominate somebody that's not interested necessarily. So is there also, are there other people that are interested, including yourself, Will?
I appreciate that. I think that I will probably be more like a Paul and sit and watch and listen and wait to strategically add comments. And if there is a burning desire from Nicole or Victoria or both to be on there, I would defer to them because I will likely still keep my ear to the street and keep a pulse on what's happening, I guess, so to speak. But I appreciate that, Nicole. Almost appreciate that very much. Good question. So let me go back to Nicole and kind of gauge your interest.
It sounds interesting. I mean, I'm not, I feel like I'm still learning so much, and I feel like it might be another opportunity to just kind of see a little bit more about kind of what's going on, and just kind of get involved a little bit more. But I also still sometimes feel a little intimidated because it's a lot of new things. So if Victoria is like, feels really confident and like she really wants to get in there and do this, then I don't want to stand in her way. So I mean, I'm not opposed, but
Other opportunities, I'm on other.
yeah, I don't know if I call it a burning desire, but I mean, I am interested. So I don't want to take that away from somebody else who, if you're really passionate about this, I don't want to kind of take that away from you.
No, I think it'd be good for you. You would learn a lot. It's really interesting.
So with that being said, I'd like to nominate Nicole.
All right, all in favor?
Or is there any
Is there any other nominations? My apologies. Okay, all in favor?
I,
Any opposition?
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're thanking us now.
I know.
We'll see.
So then that means we move on to introductions of CAC and staff. So I guess we just go around and say our names.
Yeah, since we have a new person, I thought it'd be nice to go around and just so at least want to give a prompt or.
what's a good question?
What's your favorite thing about Troutdale?
So there you
I
go.
like it.
There you go, Chris. Lead us off, Beth.
All right. So I'm Chris, and that's one of my favorite things about Troutdale is the kind of the small town feel. We go this way.
Shelby Stephenson, and I just love that we are being small.
Hi, I'm David Wheaton. I've lived here 24 years. What I like about Troutdale, what I like is that it's not Portland, and it has a more rural feel. And so adjacent to Sunrise Park, and so I don't have a direct neighbor behind me.
My name is Hamilton, and I would say my favorite thing about Troutdale is the community. I love that there's so many people and families that are out walking the back. It's a great place to have a home.
Hi, Diane Castillo White. I love our views, our proximity to everything and the gorge and especially the community. There's a lot of volunteers in our town. I've also lived here over 30 years and been involved in the chamber and all sorts of different things. And that's what makes it a special place. So I love our community.
I'm Victoria Rizzo. I've lived here 42 years. And it was very different when I moved in, really rural. I was pretty much surrounded by farmland that's now become houses. And, but I still like as everybody else has said, the small town feel. And we're still sort of safe here right now. So, and I like all the people.
Well, good evening, everyone. I'm Melissa Johnston. I'm associate planner with City of Troutdale. I've been working here for about.
I don't think all of them said anything yet.
We were
Okay.
gonna
Go around and then
Oh, okay, sorry.
Maybe I jumped out.
Oh, no, sorry.
Okay.
No, I thought you were moving on. Sorry.
Oh, no, no.
Okay,
Oh, just
okay.
introduction.
Okay.
Sorry, I'm the main staff liaison for this group. I'm associate planner, and I have been here about 9 months. I think what I love about Troutdale, even before I started working here, is our downtown. I love town center. and the historic Columbia River Highway. I'd like to come down and visit and walk from there down to Glen Otto and back. And it was especially nice to see it in action at First Friday. I went to the June First Friday, even though it was raining. It was so nice to get to talk with the merchants that work there and all the people that visited. So just really a pleasure to work in this community and very happy to be here. So should we go online?
Yeah, maybe I'll do, and then, we'll go online. Hey everyone, I'm Will. Yeah, I love Troutdale being right up here on the hill above downtown, because it's a great, quiet, little safe spot, like in the middle of like everything going on. It tends to be, it's one of the last like really small safe spots in the whole area. I love how I can in 15 minutes with no traffic be in downtown Portland and 15 minutes be at Multnomah Falls. Like it's a pretty cool spot to be in. And we have so much access to nature and water and mountains all around us. In addition to that, I will resonate the sentiment regarding the downtown and the energy that's been happening down there and the great work that Harley's been doing with the First Fridays and the food carts and all the excitement that's going on into our downtown core, and then the urban renewal, the Confluence project. What's going to happen on there? There's a lot of neat things happening in Troutdale, and I think it's a fun time to live here and be a part of it.
Okay. Kelly?
Hi, I'm Shelley. I've been here just about 3.5 years. And I think the one thing I like about Troutdale that stands out to me are the people. Being part of this committee and the Parks Committee and getting to know everybody and getting to know all the merchants downtown and the city staff employees has just been wonderful.
Nicole?
Hi, I'm Nicole. I've been in Troutdale for 9 years. We're going on 9 years, and coming from Lentz Park over in Portland. I don't know if any of you are familiar with that area off of 82nd. It's a very colorful place, which had its ups and downs, but moving out to Troutdale has just been awesome. It's just quiet at night and not sirens all the time, and it has just have that small town feel, but be so close to good food and entertainment and everything. So we've just loved being in Troutdale and really felt like home right away. So it's been awesome being out here. Don't want to go anyplace else.
Amasa?
Amasa, yeah. We've been here 8 years, which I was like, oh, it's been 4. And then I did the calculations. No, it's been 8 years. Time's gone by, but I really love the nature. We're just like seconds, 5 minutes from the Sandy River and the gorge, and just to be at that so quickly, I think that's just very good for your soul. Also just love how we've gotten to know more people. We went to First Friday and I was surprised at how many people we ran into there. So that was really fun. I just like that where you know all your neighbors and your people, and that just makes you feel a sense of community for sure. So and then throughout the years, I've seen more of the businesses that haven't made it a big town feel, but also have, brought various amenities. And I think the city has done a really nice job the last 2-3 years with the downtown events, with last year's like December holidays event was super fun, and the First Fridays are super fun. We've been going to the First Fridays for a long time, but they've really stepped it up lately. So it's a blast to go.
Alexander?
I'm Alexander. I love Troutdale. As I come home, get off at Lewis Park, and it feels as if I'm entering a world that's anywhere else. I love the bridges. I will never get tired of seeing the Sandy go underneath the bridges.
Alexander.
And yes.
There we go. We're we're having a tough time hearing you with your. Better now.
Better, my mic's up almost as high as it will go. So sorry. I wasn't saying anything great. I love, Troutdale is sometimes feels like sanctuary. I feel like I can come home and kiss the ground. I love the bridges and the sandy flowing underneath. And that to me is a symbol that I'm home. It's been great for my kids and the nightlife, like the owls, the coyotes, the woodpeckers, and the raccoons.
Thank you everyone for that. Now, do we have any public comment on non-agenda items? Do you have anything, Paul? And we come to discussion items, which is an update on the transportation system plan.
Right, I will start off and then we'll have discussion. So share screen, just a moment. Okay, I just wanted to introduce the transportation system plan again and do a little bit of a recap of what we've been working on. I have received some comments since our last meeting, and it feels like we have unfinished business and some discussion to continue. We've been working on this over several months, starting in December. So I appreciate all of your reading and dedication and your the long meetings that we've had. Thank you very much for your efforts up to this point. We had to push the timeline back just a little bit due to Planning Commission, which has allowed us to have one more meeting, and I really wanted to bring it back to us. The timeline has allowed us to keep having CAC conversation. So to recap, so the primary purpose what we've been working on is updating the 2014 transportation system plan to include projects from the town center plan. We're focusing mostly on chapter 4, that's the future needs and improvements chapter. At our second meeting, we went through the process of evaluating several of the projects in the town center plan and selecting the preferred alternative. That was the scoring that we worked on with Kittleson and Associates. Based on that meeting, they produced the red line or blue line, depending on how your computer was displaying it. But they produced the edited version of chapter 4 based on our second meeting. So comments after that haven't yet been incorporated into that chapter. And I just put kind of a reminder of what our rating system looked like at that second meeting. And we had considered rating the projects on safety, equity, climate, cost, and public input from CAC, county staff, and in the future it'll be Planning Commission and council, and anybody else that we have reached out to during this time. So timeline, December and January, those were our introduction meetings. Then we looked at existing conditions and future needs with Kittleson and Associates in March. In May is when we did that ranking, and then we reviewed the draft June 1st. So we've come up today, July 6th, for a discussion and debrief. Then I am anticipating giving a short city council briefing on August 23rd. Then Planning Commission will have their hearing August 24th to consider adopting these updates into the plan. And City Council, we are anticipating having the hearings in September. So that's just the brief introduction to the project. This is in the packet. I recommend looking at the transportation system plan update needs. This chart is kind of our key to what is going to be updated in each of the action plans and master plans. So the action plan for pedestrian, bicycle, motor vehicle are all contained here. So this is kind of the quick reference index to our updates. So you may want to look here to jog your memory, but I wanted to open this up to discussion. I know, Will, you have a project that you'd like to discuss tonight, and if others have edits that you don't feel have been incorporated yet, or more comments that you want conveyed, we can take in these comments tonight, and Kittleson and Associates still has time to incorporate these into chapter 4, and we can make adjustments to the recommendations that we're sending to Planning Commission. So with that, I'll turn it over for discussion.
Chris,
And
Will, were you gonna start first?
Go for it. I'll jump in whenever. I know my message was on there, but I don't have to take the forefront. Go for it.
Okay, okay, first of all, in the reading of what Will submitted, I'm highly in agreeing with his comments. Also, per the article that was written at the time where the public gave comment at the Harvest Church, where there's basically 200 people saying they didn't want the connector at the time. I also wanted to repeat that then Mayor Shane Bemis said that he was against it as well in an article because of he was at that time having to pay, I believe, over $1 million for safety with his trails in Gresham. I'm very concerned about safety because at this time, the county is trying to work with the cities, with our people that are psychologically in need, physically in need, homeless, and that are doing hard drugs. And I want to repeat that at nighttime after 10 p.m., a lot of them are coming out of the 1,000 acres, are coming out of, some are trying to live in Glen Otto Park at night. There's more gang activity on the east side of the Sandy Bridge. There's drag racing almost every evening. Our sheriffs are in need of support. There's less of them, and we're just one contract of many. And I'm very concerned with, at this time, connecting any, making any of the trail connections without having service, some other things in place and addressed by the county, and have those issues dealt with at this time. I will also say that I also do have a concern with the matrix and how this was presented to us with the addition of equity and climate introduced as a factor. I'm not sure how much things weighed. I'm looking at this, the update needs and the Sandy Avenue, I believe, through Kettleson, is that the right name? That they were writing down, and they repeated after we had spoken that we had come up with a conclusion just to leave it the same. And then just to do some monitoring, and I'm looking at this, and it's saying reduce the roadway to one-way access and provide multi-module facilities. I want to repeat again that we only have a few passages that are north-south through Troutdale, and that the Sandy Avenue is our snow route. And that would include two ways. You get up, but you need to come back down. You go down, but you still need to come up. So I'm not understanding. I know we have the, is it county and metro also included on these conversations about our transportation plan, or is it just metro?
Primarily county.
Okay, county. Okay, Sandy Avenue, is that a Troutdale road or is that a county road?
No, not a county road.
Okay, so I'm also having concerns about Metro having a lot of say in all of our plan, and not just having a say to their roads after we've come up with some ideas that we've gone through the channels of CAC, through planning, through the council, and then have some discussion with the county. It seems that the county is has more weight than the CAC on Sandy Avenue, when that's not even a county road. So I'm questioning who gets to have the the most weight in what they have to contribute to this conversation. Because as far as I'm concerned, Sandy Avenue, that's not what we said to Kettleson, and here it is. So therefore, other people's at this point weighted more heavily than the CAC did. So those are just a few of my comments at this time. And also, one other thing I had written here, I remember at some point we had talked about having a joint meeting with the planning committee. That was like one of our way back in the day. My concern is that we come together and we know what we're thinking and how we came up with conclusions and what our input was. And like already here, this input has been changed. So by the time it gets to planning and then gets to council, I've already heard a lot of the councils, the majority say they don't listen to the CAC meetings. So then us as representing the citizenry, translation is lost, or heart and motive or intent and all those things. So I have a concern with that process as well. And those are all my comments for now.
Were you through, Melissa? Because I'm gonna ramble here for.
No, go ahead. This is open discussion, please.
I'm somewhat struck by the imbalance between what we're doing and what is happening. We're discussing an update to the master transportation plan. That includes the whole city. But it's focused in our work on the urban growth area and essentially the town center. My concern is, well, let me get into another thing. What happens in town center is going to affect the community. So I'm sitting here trying to figure out if spending all the money that this plan anticipates the improvements, is that good for downtown or is that good for the community? Because there's a very distinct difference. And I see most of it, but I don't see all of it. Now, I heard that we're going to come back and revisit the rest of the city later. I personally just don't believe that. I don't trust the city to do it. So if we were to do that, then we'd look at, because this plan is going to cost in the neighborhood, I don't know, $500 million. So if we come back and relook at the rest of the city, in my head, we should commit to spending $500 million in the rest of the city. Failing to do so would violate what is discussed in here in terms of equity and safety. Because there are improvements needed in the rest of the city in terms of transportation in the next 20 years. I highlighted a brief discussion about an intersection improvement at Stark and Troutdale Road. And that was set outside the scope. And I just find that totally unacceptable. It makes me question what the consultant is supposed to be doing other than approving what staff wants. I want what's good for the community more than anything else. Now I want to make sure that what we're doing is going to benefit people that live here. And I heard small town feel. I heard people being important to the community. That's important to apparently everybody in the community to maintain it. So, like I said, process and where we're going don't match. Buxton Road, we discussed that in terms of bike lanes for multimodal use. I'm confused by that because Buxton already is a bike route. It should have been striped prior to that. And if it were, why would we limit e-bikes and things to just that single street? If I don't agree with that, I think if we're gonna have a change in our multimodal system, that should be a minimum throughout the community. And one street being an experiment makes no sense to me. I'm sorry for that. And I continue to struggle with the bridge. I brought up a number of bike issues related to the bridge in past meetings. And the bridge seems to essentially accommodate a east to west, no, a west to east traffic flow for pedestrians and bikes. But it does not accommodate for bicycles a east to west flow. Also, because east to west will come up on the historic highway. And you have to figure out some convoluted way to get them up to Second Street. Which, from the discussion we had, again, makes no sense. But that leaves us with the bicycle and traffic flow on 257th north-south. There's no connection to that bridge for bike lanes going north and south on 257th. A lot of people question where were bikes coming from. They're coming from the west, heading east. And they said, question whether it was on Halsey. The one thing we didn't talk about is Marine Drive. When I ride, I go out the dike, go out Marine Drive, go out to West Portland and come back. And by the time I do that, it's about 50 miles. So when I'm in shape, that's what I do. So if the bike path, if the plan for transportation is to remove bicycles from 257th, I wouldn't really have a problem with that because of the traffic. Because to turn left, I have to take the lane, get into the center turn lane, and then turn left on the historic highway to get into downtown before I go to Buxton or San, whatever I'm trying to accomplish. So if the bike route were redesigned so that it were to come up from the dike through the airport road and come up underneath I-84 and continue on up to the proposed bike hub underneath the railroad tracks, that would be excellent. You've avoided all that traffic. But I heard nothing in the plan for transportation to sign and redirect bicyclists to do that. I think that would be a great opportunity, but it takes a lot more than just saying it's a bike lane. You can't just leave it at that. That's my discussion. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Diane and David, both. And thank you, Melissa, for bringing this back to us about another time to discuss this. Backing up, I want to also apologize to the group for missing probably the two most important ones that we were supposed to have. Unfortunately, during those months, just happened to be unable to make them due to work commitments. And so I believe it was the March and May one that I missed, but then got all the other meetings except for those two. So I want to apologize ahead of time for that. after the last meeting and then having, you know, the input come back and the blue line to the red lines and not seeing that any of the things, the great ideas and whatnot have been mentioned, it felt to me as though, and the fact that, you know, our input wasn't included in the last meeting. And that kind of the little circles and whatnot are very subjective as far as scoring those things, but it's meant to be created in an objective way that we can easily kind of rubber stamp what's being there. And then we don't have an official capacity to say yes or no, we approve this as a group. Made me feel like, gosh, did we really have any, you know, true discussion in this? Or is it more or less, hey, we're gonna sit here and watch city staff and Kettleson have a meeting in front of us? It's kind of what my take on it was. And so that's why I wanted to make sure that my comments got included before it got passed along to the planning or the city council. In addition to that, I would suggest, as like Diane mentioned, things get lost. Nobody's going to read our minutes. Probably have most of the council except for Sandy. He's not even going to care, I think, what we talk about. So encourage you to go to council when this comes up. Talk during the non-agenda if you can. You have 5 minutes to say your piece, and just make sure that we share this information that you're bringing to the table. If for some reason what we see after tonight does not get included in the discussion, make sure that we stay on top of that. First off, with Sandy Avenue, I want to make sure that I say thank you again to Melissa for finally getting us the geotechnical report. I know that when that Sandy Avenue part came up during the town center plan, I had specifically asked for it. Didn't receive it. I know when it came up to town center plan, we had more than one person asked for it. I know that, and also recently we've asked for it additionally as well. And so I'm not trying to point any fingers or blame, but just understand that like the day before we had our June meeting is when I finally received that document to look at it. And so I apologize, my thoughts were somewhat uncollected during that time. After seeing the Sandy Avenue and geotechnical report and having been through the process so far, there's definitely been a narrative built that for at some point erosion concerns need to be addressed on that space, and we are going to prioritize changing that street to a one-way, and we're going to use this geotech report and then the subsequent capstone report from PSU to then say this is the direction we should go. And after myself personally reading the Sandy Avenue geotechnical report, there is no concern, I guess is what I'd say. We have 22 years worth of data to show that nothing has slipped from there. This year is the 100-year event for wetness in Oregon. We've had 100 years since 1940s. So I guess what I'd consider a 100-year event, or at least an 82-year event in moisture. There's no current slope activity. In speaking with the former Planning Commission chairman, I believe, Frank Grande, or at least he was a member of it. He's lived in that area for longer than I have, longer than 22 years. And he seems to recall, and I'm sure I could get him to come in and say this on record, but it had to do with a tree falling onto the road that smacked the blacktop and created those wrinkles. And that's why when they came out and did the geotechnical report, they could not evidence any active slide. They could not, you know, what it was and so on. The number one suggestion that they had was just to watch it. Like, hey, check and see, is anything going on? Is it not? They had no ability to say that there was or was not any activity there. And keep in mind, the entire section that they're talking about was 35 feet over quarter-mile stretch of road that they're proposing to close down. For me personally, I believe it's a stretch to use the geotechnical report. It's a great way to get a cool class project done by some PSU students that sound like, amazing, but to use that report as like the reason why we are fast tracking Sandy Avenue to be closed to one way, to me seems disingenuous in that way. Moving on from the Sandy Avenue part, I think is more the bigger concern of the Springwater Trail, our history with that, and whether or not Sandy Avenue should be pushed to be closed to one way to make this a stretch or a segment of the Springwater Trail that would connect that and all the issues going on with that to come right through our downtown core. One of currently the safest places in any of the jurisdiction areas that Multnomah County Sheriff's patrols, and bring it right next to our brand new $25 million grade school that our community invested $50 million in to attract, $25 million in to attract families to come to Troutdale and move here and want to raise their families for the next 50 years. It's the life of that school. And in 2017, Diana had mentioned it previously, but there was a meeting where Metro was proposing bringing the Springwater Trail into town. And over 200 people showed up to the meeting, and the overwhelming majority of people were against it, if not angry about the thought of that. And the feedback to Metro was so incredibly against it, they immediately withdrew their support, stopped the process, and backed away, citing the citizens' concerns over safety and livability issues. When we match up the maps from their meeting to the maps that we are having here on this TSP, they are the same maps. So my question is, have the safety and livability concerns being addressed to the public enough to have support for continuing to push the Springwater Trail into town, when in 2017 we have the information that suggests that people were extremely against it? Those are the comments and the tone of my message there. And again, I hope, I like speaking first and text is second, because speaking in person, you tend to see tone and emotion and facial expressions in the body language. So I apologize if anything in my message here came off as offensive or abrasive. That wasn't my intent. It was more just suggesting that I think that for me, the idea of having these trails and these things are absolutely incredible. I love for the opportunity for our families and people that residents of Troutdale to be able to take advantage of these things and these parks. I love the idea of having people adding us to their 50-mile bike rides as they go through town. But I think that the larger safety and livability concerns are not being adequately addressed by our regional and state government. And without having the ability to focus on some of the issues like Diane mentioned of those homeless issues, mental health, the drugs, I'm not comfortable closing that to one way, considering how few eyes there are on that area. It is a really quiet, great little spot tucked away. And until this last week, there had been such little attention paid to it that the sidewalks and roads were completely overgrown. You couldn't even walk down the sidewalk because there's sticker bushes on it. So if that's the attention we're currently paying to it, does it make sense to close it to one way, make a big old nice brand new pad to put a tent, or hang out, when we're currently almost seems like on a daily basis to see the sheriffs down in Mayor Park trying to politely remove people from the public spaces after they've been loitering too long and or doing what they do. So again, it's not that I am against the trails and I think it's more of the speaking to the livability and safety concerns and losing that small town feel and bringing that sort of traffic right up through our downtown, into our downtown neighborhoods and right next to the school. When I had shared these comments with the group, I did receive a great comment from someone, and if they want to express this, they can. I won't say who they were, but the comment was that they really enjoyed using the Springwater Trail and they wanted to have it connected some way to be able to use that because it's a great asset to have. However, possibly there might be an alternative route than to take it over this route up this grade. And again, I understand the topography. I understand the complexity of the issue. I understand it. But I think as we discuss this, we need to be aware of what the bigger picture is that we're doing. And I think when I was a member of the town center with everything going on and COVID and lockdowns and all that mess, like it slipped by me. Like I didn't catch it. I didn't really see that the goal of the town center plan and the transportation system plan is to show congruency to finishing the Springwater Trail to come right to Troutdale. So now that I see that, I'm bringing it to light. And now that I see that we have an opportunity to have these further addressed, I'm hoping that we have these comments and our changes included as it continues. But that being said, and just having very brief conversations with my neighbors, they have no idea this is happening. And they, just by asking the question, what do you think about closing this road to one way and making it part of the Springwater Trail? Nobody is, if I talk to, has anything good to say about that. So I just fear, having a similar reaction if people find out about it and then it's too late. And now it's just like, sorry, like city council, Troutdale mayor, people don't care what you guys think. We're moving on about it. So I suppose I'll have another comment here sooner or later, but I wanted to share that again and make sure that hopefully at least those comments will be forwarded. If not, then I think I have to kind of take it upon myself to inform my neighbors and get them involved at the city council meeting when this comes up. So that's where I'm at with it the best as I can state it. I'll turn it back over to you, Chris.
Nicole.
Yeah, I just wanted to thank Will for putting those pieces together and bringing that to our attention, because obviously, like, being new, I didn't have that background information, and I would very much vehemently be opposed to Springwater Trail being connected. I think you've been very diplomatic, and I'll just say, I don't think that Metro, I don't think that Multnomah County has been shown to be trustworthy enough for us to let them bring the Springwater Trail in. They haven't taken care of the problems that they have already. Just, my parents live off of Johnson Creek Boulevard, and the Springwater Trail goes through their front yard basically, and it has been a nightmare for them. And people there have been begging for help, and the county's just not listening. And I don't think that anyone wants that here. And I agree, it'd be amazing, because when the trail was nice, when I was a kid, it was lovely, it was wonderful, it was a place to go as a family and ride our bikes. But that is not what I think we get if we open the door to this. And I think there's a lot of people, I agree with Will, a lot of people around here that would feel very strongly the same way. As I was reading through the paperwork here too, and some of the changes and whatnot, or sorry, wrong word. But as I was reading through everything this week, I also was struck by the fact that this information for changing Sandy was just so thin. Like the argument for shutting that down was such a thin argument. Again, since I was new to this, I wasn't aware that they were basing this off of one single study. I think that's just really poor planning. And I feel like I I feel like the city could do a little bit more than base it off of one study. I feel like we need more information. And I kind of felt frustrated because when it was initially presented, I was like, oh, well, that doesn't sound so bad. That could be okay. Well, oh no, there's a problem. And it was, to me, felt there wasn't a lot of clarity. I don't want to use the word deceptive, but it wasn't as straightforward as I think it could have been explained to me. Because now that I have more information, it's like, well, it doesn't really make sense to spend that much money on Sandy in that area where maybe there's other places where that money could go. And another piece that I just wanted to bring up that's in here about, and it's always a hot button piece, but the equity and diversity issue that came up, and it was the May meeting. And I really kind of had to go back, like, think this over. When Kelston was giving the presentation, and I don't know if anyone remembers, it was getting late, and there was a lot of questions about, like, how does this equity piece play in, play into the designs and what's going to happen in Troutdale and where projects are going to happen. And I really felt really strongly after I walked away from that, like, growing up in Portland, I feel like it makes sense to have this heavy push for equity because there are pockets where people have maybe been underserved. But I feel so differently about Troutdale because we are so interconnected. In my little housing complex alone, we have Somali refugees, we have a family from Iran, we have an Asian family, we have Russian families. I mean, and that's just my little tiny complex. And when I look at the makeup of Troutdale, to me, it just felt like as they're making a presentation with Kettleston's talking about it, it felt a lot more like square peg round hole. Like, it just, I know it's an important thing we have to discuss for the future and in city planning, and I understand that, but it feels like it just doesn't really fit with the makeup of Troutdale, like what they were kind of getting at and how they want us to maybe discuss equity or how we're going to talk about projects. But the truth is, the makeup of Troutdale, the way we are so integrated, any project that we do is going to be a net benefit for every single citizen in this community. And so when I was reading, through everything, and that was one of the suggestions that the county wanted, or made a comment about how it just seemed like it was pieced together or thrown in at the end. I don't necessarily think that's incorrect because it doesn't really fit anywhere else, because it doesn't really make sense for us. Other than I feel like it's kind of a box to be checked, to make their sacrifice at the feet of the equity gods to say, hey, we had this conversation. But I don't know, having such a focus on it to me just seems like a really big waste of time, because that just doesn't seem like what Troutdale is. And so that's really just been on my mind for the last couple of months of, like, how can we have a discussion about that that's helpful and really touches on what the needs of Troutdale are so specifically, because we are so different than other cities and how we're laid out. So again, thanks, Will, for bringing so much to our attention. I really appreciate it. And that was it.
I just had, I probably should ask this in the room here, but like, I was trying to understand on this document, stuff that is in blue font versus purple font. Does that should make changes, or are those in context or out? I was just
Sure. The blue marks, I believe, some different colors depending on your computer or when you've opened it, but the blue marks should be the updates that Kittleson and Associates has made on our behalf based on staff and CAC comments.
Okay.
And purple, I'm not familiar. Are there very many of the purple?
Yeah.
Oh.
It's strange.
Oh, there is, isn't there?
But see, it seems strange to me because looking at that pack, it seems like both the blue and purple are just indicating things that have been either modified or removed.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the last colors.
Well, yeah, either color, they're just both either additions or redactions from the plan. So, yeah, I wouldn't.
Projects. I mean, I was trying to figure out, I think Grand Road is someone I was thinking. I didn't know if that some of the line ones meant that they were completed projects or abandoned projects.
No, it's multiple staff updating the same documents. Mhm.
Okay, then my comments and I had some concerns about Sandy Avenue, but I didn't need to say anything. It's been funny been said about that. Then about this bridge across pedestrian bridge. I guess I read about 2 bridges. One I guess connects with the confluence and one connects across 257. And I think that county's stuff talked about big concerns about putting that bridge across 257. I don't think we talked about it. So I was wanting to understand why we would spend all that money to go across 257. The county did recommend it. And I know that's part of travel, but we got more stuff on the other side. So kind of didn't think that was a good spend of our money. And then a pedestrian bridge to the confluence. I get it, but there's also a road to the bridge. Right? We do a road to the confluence. So okay, those were, I just didn't understand why we're there. I don't know if the second one was a bridge, but just a road from street level. Unclear, I guess, on that.
It used to be a bridge, and now it's a bridge.
Oh, okay, so we have a way to drive there too from downtown to the confluence area.
If it's built.
If it's built, and it'll be a bridge, or it's gonna be. Or it's not.
No, there's no
It's
connection.
supposed to be a bridge.
No, there's no at level connection. It's not like that's pretty much not gonna happen. Chris said that last.
So we'll never have cars be able to go down to that area.
Only pedestrian bridge and
Okay,
then
so
the one
that's-
access is what I'm understanding, I believe.
Okay, so I was just trying to understand, because I think I always heard that it was gonna be a bridge building. That's why I understand why we have to have all those bridges. It's very costly things to do. Then in the downtown area, we need to widen our sidewalks.
I was gonna say that too.
Why do we have to widen, if we're having a problem with, if people, it's too crowded for walking, it seems like, I hate to remove art. If we remove art on sidewalks, it's blocking it, or maybe, I don't know, Tuesday, I'd like to take out trees, but maybe take trees, because we don't have room to take away parking and make the road narrower, I think, because we've got bike lanes going through there, right? So concerns about that being on the list of things. Let's see, bicycle, I didn't know what, okay, this is what Sandy Avenue talked about, bicycle facilities. I understand bike lanes, but I didn't know what bicycle facilities meant on Sandy Avenue, but if I'm not in Sandy Avenue, then that's probably don't need to worry about that. But I didn't know if that included, what would you have for bicycle facilities? I would think bike lanes, bicycle facilities might include I guess, or bike racks. I don't know why you park on there, or maybe pump stations for bicycles. So that makes sense to me to have it in a bicycle hub if that is going to be built. Which her comment about having the tie in the bike, that makes great sense. That tie underneath I-84, coming up right to the bike hub that's supposed to be at the depot park. So that makes sense. But I do have concerns about anytime we have more trails. And I don't know that. Talked about a signalized in coordination with 257 at Nexon and Historic River Highway. stop sign there. We're gonna put a signal. Is someone is that part of it? It says signalized, so I didn't know what that meant. So I guess somebody knows what that means. And then at the depot park, they talked about needing to do some traffic. Perhaps on the highway, so does that perhaps have to do with access?
I think that had to do with some re-engineering of the curve where it meets the bike code. Because there's discussion about the buses stopping there or continuing to Glenara Park. And should the bus stop be there? There's a whole discussion
Okay,
about
so-
what that terminus is. Right now, it's just a curve,
Right.
but what's the best use for the curve and where should the bus be?
Okay, because that's true, if you put a signal, so one other thing was talking about traffic calming from downtown to Glen Arbor Park. And I can't remember if that was something that's going to happen now. Sorry if I'm dragging you on, but I said I tried to look at just the action plan, but I didn't completely understand. But I guess if there's a signal there, that will already slow traffic.
We have to figure out, because there'll be parking for downtown. Yeah.
Oh,
So you have to worry about not only the cars coming in and out, but the pedestrians and bicycles going both ways from there. Some will go to the door, some will go.
So do we have a good diagrams of what this is? So this is just all conceptual,
Yes. Conceptual, as far as I-
conceptual. Okay, so obviously missing the discussions. I don't know this stuff. So, okay,
So can I just jump in for one moment? I'm hearing each of the projects that you each brought up, and I want to come back to them after I hear everything. So we'll come back and see if we can get a little bit of more resolution on the comments and how we're sending these projects forward. So for example, I heard you bring up corridor A, downtown widening the sidewalks, so we can come back to that. Some of the others I might not answer tonight, but we have 2 months before planning commission, and I think we can do kind of a CAC conversation between us and our chair, vice chair, and we can also talk through a lot of the details of the transportation system plans. So, and we'll all have, if your comments don't get captured tonight, you do have the opportunity to go to planning commission to send in written comment and to to give verbal comment at the meeting. So we'll talk more through those details.
okay.
And if you have more, please go ahead, and then I'll hear from everybody else and we'll come back around.
I think the last thing which I brought up, that I thought we cannot shut down blocks and make it street. Lots and lots of traffic on that road, so I thought, yeah. Good idea. So I guess that was the last of my things that I wrote.
Thank you.
Yeah, I just wanted to circle back to the point that I think Diane brought up and Will brought up regarding I think many of the members here, we put a lot of time and thought into some of our discussion, and looking at this, I'm just wondering if there is a better way to articulate, to communicate from this committee what our thoughts are, because I do think it's all so watered down in here. I don't see really the heart of the discussions that we've been continuing to have. And so this being the first time, first year on this committee, I don't know if this is kind of historically how communication goes, or if there might be a better way that we could articulate to the city council what this group truly felt, because I think there's a lot of great things that are shared that certainly I don't see captured in this document.
Yeah, I sense your frustration. I think it's a growing frustration that's happened over some time, where it seems as though the CAC is kind of like, oh yeah, they're there because we have to have them, not because we appreciate what they have to say. And I think that there's a building resentment, at least in some people's comments I hear at points during the meeting regarding those sort of things. So hopefully the new council will hear that and, you know, consider our comments a little more. That being said, I hearing what you say, I would still recommend that if anyone does have a thing to say, like getting there and saying it makes a big impact. And I think Diane could probably speak to that too. If you got to go to council and you got to say it, you know, even things that I thought were, hey, this is what we voted. Like I feel looking back that I failed in my role as chair to go and really drive home that sentiment. And so I appreciate what you're saying and agree that yes, we do need to make sure that if it's important to us, that we make sure that sentiment is shared and passed along.
Any other comments?
There are more people on.
Victoria?
Well, I just want to agree with most everybody who spoke. When I saw, and I don't even remember discussing widening the sidewalks downtown. Didn't we?
Did we specifically?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry, I missed your question.
Oh, I
Besides
said
that,
I don't remember discussing widening the sidewalks right in the center. And there is no room to do that.
so if I may, my recollection from the town center meeting was that if you go and you walk down and you look, there's a lot of electrical boxes and things that are blocking the sidewalks. We have those huge planters that we got for free from the city of Portland, and they're blocking, and there's spots where like the tree well, like you mentioned, butts up to one of those things, and there's no way you can get a walker or a wheelchair or anything through there. Like it's really difficult right now for that. So I think what you're asking
Well, then
is
maybe
why do we
take-
need to widen
maybe
the
take
road?
out the
My
trees.
thought was, why don't we just get rid of that stuff and
Yeah.
open up the space we have? And I don't know, there's somewhere in there to work it out, but
I mean,
trying to give context to what you're
yeah, I mean, those streets aren't that wide anyway, and you're right, all the bicyclists come down there. I just can't see the room. And as you all know, as I've discussed before, I'm really against the bridge. There's so much more that we've needed done around Troutdale than that bridge. That's millions and millions of dollars. And even if we did a grant, I can't see that we'll get a grant for the whole thing. And like I said before, who's gonna upkeep it? I think we can make some better choices on 257, have some better pedestrian crosswalks, maybe slow the mileage down. I just think that's an awfully big expense. It'd be nice, but I'm on budget, there's no way. I just can't see that. And what was my other one? Oh, and the Buxton Road. I somehow missed that one too. Are they planning to totally close Buxton Road or have cars and those vehicles?
Yeah.
Sorry.
Not closing to traffic, but I think that the idea, we can come back to this one more, but it wasn't to close it to traffic. It was to introduce some alternate forms of transportation.
But I agree with David. Then where do they go? I mean, you've got Buxton Hill, then where do you go? You have a car parked somewhere and then throw your electric bike or your golf cart in it? I mean, it doesn't make a lot of sense. I mean, if we were one of those small communities like in one village that they built near Target, that little one, I could see doing it there. But I can't see on a major road having that. It doesn't make sense. Anyway. And I agree on the Sandy Road thing too.
I feel compelled just to add one thing, but Buxton Road is already a bike path.
Right.
And it's just the city hasn't.
Actually, they're blocking their bikes up.
But part of Buxton is much wider as well than below 7th or 6th. I can't remember where it narrows, but the bike lanes have always been there. They're just invisible.
Yeah.
It's been that way for decades, as far as I know.
And a lot of the people ride their bikes on the sidewalk.
So any device that would say electric scooter or electric bike would use the bike lane like they do anyway. And it wouldn't change anything.
Except for the,
Except for the golf carts, and then you have to add additional width for the, and then, and that's where it gets weird too, because in order to have a golf cart, if it's gonna be in a bike lane, you have to have these really wide bike lanes. But everywhere I'm familiar with, you buy a golf cart that's street worthy. Has to have a tag, just like any other motor vehicle. It is considered a motor vehicle, and you drive it in the street. And that way you can go anywhere you want. Which I think would be the more ideal situation. Anyway, I wanted to add that, sorry to interrupt.
Okay. Chris. Is there anything else?
And Nicole.
Yeah, I just had a question about why do you say the bike lanes are invisible on Buxton? Is that just because they need new paint, or is there a now that I'm thinking about it, like I don't think I've ever really noticed bike lanes there. So I was wondering, like, are they designated already? Like, or do they just need to be repainted? I'm just curious why they aren't visible.
You have it exactly right. They're not visible because the city's never painted the stripes. But they're designated bike lanes on all the plans.
Got it. Thank you.
Diane, you had something?
Yes, I just want to say for just historical information, I remember the past conversations when there was town centers pertaining to everybody not wanting to do the connections. They wanted to do Sandy Avenue for the connectors. People were asking that if we could use Buxton or 257th, especially 257, increase the width of the sidewalks was the preferred choice. And the reason was too, when Metro was pitching the connectivity, they were also talking about getting to school and getting to work and getting to jobs. And so, so a lot of the citizenry were highly choosing that suggestion to use 257th because there was a lot of room to make it wide, and plus there'd be eyes on it. There's no hidden pockets. There's no perfect place to hide out or pitch your tent to make it your new home or anything like that. It's something that's out in the open. But if things were expanded and they were wide, then it could incorporate more potential use. And the sidewalks in downtown Troutdale, I get confused because we've talked about this at Town Center and not sure where I've heard this. The idea was a lot of communities that have wider sidewalks like Camas, a lot of people have the opportunity to eat outdoors. You put more tables out there. You have more energy, more community energy and gathering. And I'm thinking with the Town Center Committee, we're going to have to think of creative things because already the food carts there's been less business in downtown Troutdale. And yeah, that's just, to each person, they got to up their game or whatever. I'm not saying that's good, bad, or whatever, but I, as a citizen, I'm hoping that we always have a place to live, work, play, and walk. And if some of these businesses or restaurants go under, then we're going to end up having more barbershops or different things than things that if transportation does become an issue, that it's harder to, let's say we're all on electric bikes and they turn them off. I mean, cars and they turn them off and we have limited use or carbon emissions or whatever happens in the future. I personally want to have a lot of things that I could do within my own community to enjoy a quality of life. But I'm just saying that, so that's the sidewalks were more about people being outside gathering and then having more walk space for wheelchairs and such. So that's, and there, I think we're talking about going into some of the space where the bike lanes were, maybe slowing down the road and then having the bike share with the traffic. I think that's my recollection.
And any other comments?
Okay, let's go back around and see what we can make changes on tonight. So what I have to check back in on is Sandy Avenue, Buxton, Historic Columbia River Highway, 2nd Street Bridge. A conversation about that we're doing talking about a small amendment versus a whole city transportation system plan update. And then I think I'll group together a couple under next steps. I heard a better way to capture our thoughts. What does CAC approval look like, and recommending toward planning commissions. So let's just start with Sandy Avenue. Yeah, I think these are really good concerns. I'm glad that these have all come up, and I think we have time now to change what we're recommending. I went back to the town center plan just to see what initially was there. And even in the town center plan, it read, closing streets for vehicular access is not easy, not popular proposition, and it had some ideas for gated access. So I think that the initial plan in the town center plan was, it's not very refined yet, and it's contentious. This is a much longer discussion I think that we need to have, and if we want to have a north-south off-street path in Troutdale, there are multiple alignments to consider, and that's a long conversation. It's a conversation that we had in 2017. I hear that you brought up. So I just, it sounds like we want this project removed from what we're recommending, and I think that would be fine to do tonight. Does anybody have, should we say that we want the no build alternative? Is that what we want to recommend, or is there something different that we might want to recommend?
I just want to clarify, if I remember from the meeting, that meant if something did happen, there wouldn't be any possibility that a project could happen. Is that correct?
No. So that's something Chris brought up, that if there was erosion or failure, that we might want a new project written in the transportation system plan, that we could kind of, as we rebuild, immediately start pursuing that. But if any road in the city fails, we'll be able to rebuild it as is. We don't necessarily need to have a new idea in the hopper adopted in our plan in order to make fixes. We can fix the road as it is. So, and I think he's saying it might be nice if we wanted to make a change for it to be in there, but you know, the term that was used was cover your ass. I don't know that really fits so well. We can rebuild the road if it fails.
Okay, thank you.
So Sandy Avenue was never in the previous one, right? It was not. Sandy Avenue was not identified in the previous transportation system plan at all.
Not lane closure. No, no, that's coming from the town center plan.
Yeah, I suppose stepping back, I guess, a little bit, take a little bit higher elevation level on it, is that congruency between documents with it being on an action plan makes it then more easily able to come to a quick vote with council saying, yes, we're spending this money, we're doing this. You know, that being said, it would be my personal preference, and again, I do have, I guess, a dog in the fight, so to speak, living there on that road, so I want to get that out of the way, you know, right off the bat when we're discussing this. But And I feel like there's a way to, once we leave this table and this becomes a document that other people who have no idea is what we talked about, discuss, what are they gonna have the ability to do? And if we have Sandy Avenue or any of these that we find important in there as the preferred option and the top of an action list, like, hey, when we get funding, as soon as we get something for this, we're doing this, then that's what they're gonna do. And so for me, this is an opportunity, if I truly feel about something in this that I don't want to have that fast track to happen, then yes, for me personally, I would say then I would not want Sandy Avenue included in this document. However, at the same time, I would also love to raise my hand and say, hey, why don't we strike some lanes on that road? Why don't we make it apparent more readily that there are potentially multimodal uses on this road, rather than completely shutting it down the one way, taking half the eyes off of it that are already not there anyway, and potentially allowing for something that the community is not wanting to grab a foothold in our downtown to happen. So trying to say that as, equally balanced or PC as I can, but yeah, I mean, if it comes to that this actual document that somebody else's eyes is going to read without the context, I personally wouldn't want it in there, but would also make great efforts to get the city involved in making it more of a striped better lanes, slow down, whatever might need to happen, and then yeah, making it a priority to keep over there and keep it clean and keep it maintained, if that makes sense. Chris, did you have something? I thought I saw you. Not in regards to Sandy, but if you say
I guess I'm not sure where to insert it now.
Okay.
No, I didn't think we were done with the discussion. Apparently we're going through itemized now or something.
Yeah, why don't you go ahead? Sorry, do you have projects to introduce or comments? Sorry, I might have jumped in too early.
Although some people already mentioned it, I was also going to I also wanted to mention the Buxton Road one, just because I feel like that's a lot of extra traffic. And thinking about some recent events, like we just had First Friday, and I managed to go to that for a little bit, but I went pretty late, and I tried to come down using my car because I had some other stuff to do after that. The traffic was way too hectic there, and I had some other concerns that are related to First Friday, so that's a different discussion. But so I just worried about the amount of traffic of riding all this stuff.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. So we'll come back to Buxton Avenue or Buxton Road on Sandy. So we do have action plans and master plans. So the action plan would be projects that we're going to address in the next 5 years or so, and the master plan would be for the duration of the life of the plan. So one thing you could do is we could remove it from the action plan and just have it on the master plan, and then it would have a little less immediacy. Another thing we could do is perhaps what we have on the action plan or master plan is more of a refinement plan. So we could document that we want to, and it's not necessary to have a refinement plan in the transportation plan in order to study something, but it would help document it for the future. So we could, maybe we want to study alternatives for Sandy Avenue, or come up with a plan in case there was erosion, or something like this. You might be able to put in there. We could emphasize need to improve bike lanes and sidewalk along that roadway.
I would be against it.
Okay,
I'll tell you why.
okay.
Sandy Avenue is already a pike road, not unlike Buxton. The key difference here is that Sandy Avenue isn't wide enough to accommodate bike lanes. So what I want to see is the little bike chevrons that say bikes in road.
Yeah.
And the signage put up, so, because I think right now the traffic's not that heavy, but the two can't coexist. But if you're going to make an improvement for bike lane, you're talking about, you can't go toward the bluff, so you gotta go toward the property. And you gotta cut into that field and then build retaining walls. So you can widen the road. And I'm not sure that's the best use of money. Particularly when bikes and cars seem to get on time. If it was at least signed that people live in the area or go up there for the first time, or at least the bicyclists do go there.
What do you think about shared lanes?
Yeah, no, I thought that's great. You know, it's a great idea. I didn't have that specific, but yeah, something that shows like, hey, this is multi-use. You know, you're gonna be sharing the road. Watch out for others. Play nice and slow down.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so I think what we can recommend, I'll investigate two options. I think we should either do just no build on it or shared lanes. And I need to talk with the transportation planning experts that we're consulting with and the traffic engineers that we're consulting with. Just make sure we're not missing anything on that, but we can also put that in the action plan. Does that sound more comfortable for Sandy Avenue?
And they should fix the asphalt.
And yes, maintenance for everything.
And then nobody will think there's erosion going on.
So to follow to that point, they actually paved it 2 summers ago. And so now we have an additional 2 years of immediate no erosion, no road, thing on top of the previous 18. So now it's 22 years worth of nothing. All right, thank you.
Ready for,
Appreciate
okay,
that.
okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Ready for Buxton Road? So, all right. I guess I also share the concern that, actually, let me back up. For anyone that was in the town center plan or on that committee, do you have any more to share about what the experimental street, what that conversation was about and what the outcome?
I don't remember.
This is Diane, and I'm just remembering, we just kind of left it alone. We weren't keen on it. I know I made the discussions that my dad lives in Pinehurst, North Carolina, and that's all flat. They soup up their golf carts to do the speed limit. And we talked about there being a lot of rain here. We talked about the practicalness. We couldn't decide if we were gonna have a whole huge area of up Buxton, all a big designated area, be golf cart friendly. So there was, as far as I'm concerned, there was no conclusion on any of that conversation. We just talked about angles and, what golf carts could do, because Buxton is a steep, it has a steep grade. And if golf carts could even get up that. There's discussion. I think we didn't make any decisive conclusions.
I don't understand why I would have picked Buxton. That doesn't make sense. I mean, there must be another road.
My recollection is that we were talking about future thinking and a day when there wouldn't be as many cars and there would be electrified vehicles and they could be call on demand, self-driving, autonomous. But then also having the ability for people to get around on their own, and electric golf carts would be ideal. Well, the problem, that's not ideal for everybody. But electric carts going up Buxton don't have enough horsepower to get up the hill unless it's almost fully charged. But I think they could do it. There's a few technological issues, sort of not quite here yet. We need another 10 years to make that work better. Because electric golf carts have problems. And that's one of them is you size them to go at a certain speed, but you know, if you get a bigger battery capacity cart, then you can do that, but that's out of the order.
The logistics are curious on this one in that I think you brought it up, Victoria, and a couple other people have brought up that to have one street be the experiment is a little bit strange, because it really would have to apply to at least the downtown or some subsection of the city, but confining these new tools just to one street, that honestly hasn't made a lot of sense to me either. As far as Stripe, I believe it's a county facility. I can double check, but off the top of my head, I think that we need to work with the county on striping it. And I know the county was not so keen on our idea for converting Buxton into an experimental street either. And they encouraged us to consider Dora or another parallel street because they didn't want this on their facility. And I will say overall, the county has directed their comments toward county facilities. So the roads in our city that are owned and maintained by the county is what they've primarily commented on, and they've sort of steered clear of our other roads that are ours. But I will say the county's not a fan of this one, and I wonder, are we interested in an e-scooter share, those types of programs? Is there any interest in Troutdale and something like that? So it wouldn't apply just to Buxton, but it would be citywide.
I have a comment on that. There's, I hate to say this, and I want equality for all, but there's some homeless people using an e-scooter to pull their, those little carriages that would normally accommodate a small child. And they're zipping around at night. And so I'm not sure about that. And I just was in Portland today, and a lot of those e-scooters are left on the side of the road and look like they don't even work anymore, and like they're graffitied out. So there doesn't seem to be a clean way to do it. And as I'm looking at it, I'm going, who's spending money on this? Who's losing money? And did this really accomplish anything? Because a lot of those scooters, are they free use in Portland? No, you put your MasterCard in there and then you take off. Okay, well, they're thrown all over the streets or different areas and such. And so it just, I'm not sure about that. Now, electric bikes can already be used within the bike lanes. I have an electric bike. I have a bad knee, and it helps me get up Buxton. And then that way I try to pedal when I can. And when I need some assist, I use my electric bike. I think electric bikes should be encouraged as a way to get around Troutdale. That would, yeah.
Well,
As a share,
aren't they
personal.
allowed anyway?
Yeah.
Oh, sure. Yeah, you can ride an electric bike.
Yeah.
And do you mean personally owned or
I own
electric
one.
bike share?
I personally own one.
Yeah, okay,
Mhm.
okay. And I saw this.
And I do have to say, on that matter, I do agree with Diane. I mean, to be honest, I'm not the biggest fan of Portland, and that's just one of those things that I guess I feel would make Troutdale a lot more like Portland, and that's one of my fears, that Troutdale could become basically like a mini me of Portland.
So I believe that there was a time where they either tried or they were going to try those scooters for north in the industrial area for everybody to get around to go to Amazon or FedEx. Do you remember that? Do you know if they ever actually brought it in, or was that still those
No,
last?
I don't remember
options?
that, but while I'm talking to you just very quickly, they're loud. E-bikes are not loud. They're quiet. You don't, sometimes you don't even know. So I think that's my issue with if we had a street share, whatever, it's quite noisy, like a swarm of bees. Yeah, but no, I don't recall that. I don't recall what we decided on that.
If I could, I guess, like, what I'm hearing is like, well, if everything could kind of be on the road, a bicycle could be on a bike lane, a scooter could be in a bike lane. You know, a golf cart, if it's street legal, it could be on the street. Like what, like it's just putting up signs that say, hey, we support electric vehicles on this road, or like kind of, I don't really understand what this looks like or what it's supposed to be accomplished, I guess.
Mhm.
Maybe that's a kind of tying in everybody's thoughts potentially. It's like, what is this? Like, what is this actually going to do?
I agree with that. Tying it just to Buxton is puzzling to me, to be really honest.
Looks like Nicole has something.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, I just wanted to be the one that said, I like the e-scooters. I think it's kind of a good idea. And I like the idea of the electric bikes too. I think that could be kind of nice. And I think what you're saying solves kind of the problem of just one experimental street, because it's kind of experimenting it, but it opens up the possibilities a little bit for people to get around. I'm not a big fan of like the golf cart thought, like the golf cart idea. I think just kind of, I don't know. I have a hard time imagining that working out very well for people, especially up the incline of that hill. But I think a scooter or the bikes would make a lot of sense. And I can imagine more easily connecting over to Edgefield, which would be really nice if there was like something where there was the e-bikes just, you know, along that little stretch and people going back and forth. And I could see that actually looking nice, like being kind of a cool thing.
Okay, well, it seems like maybe a community discussion on shared transportation modes might be something we could have, but in terms of Buxton Road, what would we most like this corridor E project to read? It doesn't seem like Experimental Street is resonating with us.
Kind of like what we did with Sandy, where a recommendation would be that we add some additional bike lanes and striping so that it's clear if you have these with your e-bike or your standard bike or a scooter that you have a place there that's protected. And then let it be. That's just.
Buxton's a county road?
I believe so. Mhm.
It just does seem kind of silly to me that there's like talk of experimental stuff on that road, but they don't even have the basics in right now. So to me, it seems to make more sense to just say, hey, can we just get it striped and maybe take it from there? That seems like a reasonable expectation.
It's hard to get Multnomah County.
Well, that's true.
Maybe this first Friday, we give the kids the chalk. And it'll last a few months.
Give them permanent shot.
That's the spirit.
Okay, good. Let me bring that conversation back to Kittleson. We'll make some changes for Buxton Road that better reflects what I've heard tonight. Okay. So corridor C is historic Columbia River Highway. What the town center plan had in there was an idea for angled parking And it had a lot of details for the downtown corridor. And some of that was looking not quite as feasible. So that evolved into just widening the sidewalks, which would not detract from the parking. And we have checked with the county, we can reduce the lane width and still comply with their standards. So we do have a little wiggle room there, but this one also seems like it's, I'm not hearing a lot of enthusiasm for this plan. Maybe what it might be better to do is write in a refinement plan, especially since we have the Town Center Advisory Board developing right now. They could work on this plan further for us, and then we could.
If you just got rid of those round things.
Yeah. So that,
You know, open things up.
that and underground the utilities.
Yeah.
And I think that's along the widening would probably open it way up.
Do we want to revise this project description here to include like decluttering the sidewalk? Or would it be better to write a refinement plan for the Town Center Advisory Board? I guess we could probably do both. Okay, refine and declutter. Okay, all right.
I'd say both.
Okay,
Alexander, I said both.
thank you. Okay, Second Street Bridge. I will say it has been added to the capital improvement plan. And that was approved by City Council. So we do have it adopted in another city document and intentions to build. There would be a variety of funding sources. We would look to grants. As the land is developing on both sides, that would be a payment contribution from those landowners as they develop. I understand, I hear a lot of concerns about it, and I understand that it's not a favorite for many people. Some people are very much looking forward to the bridge. I think this is, I do believe I need to keep it in this update that we advance to Planning Commission, that gets advanced to City Council, but this can be an opportunity in which you submit individual comments, or we could even write, include it in a letter that is written by the commission that's sent to Planning Commission to kind of document your thoughts in writing. But I do not feel that this particular project can be removed, and I hope you understand, but we can keep talking about it. Well, yeah.
Not near. I just don't see where that money's coming from. I don't want, I already heard how much it's gonna cost. It's millions. And then you have the upkeep.
That's a fair concern. It would have to be multiple sources of funding. In order to get grants, it would have to be in the transportation system plan to be eligible for most grants. So that is one reason to put a project in, even though possibly it might prove to be not feasible in the future.
So they already, I know they had 3 projects, so they voted this one in to get that money. Even though we had some that we've been waiting years for to get finished.
I didn't quite follow.
We had 3 choices for that money. They had a grant or something.
Oh.
Did they vote for this one already?
Oh. I'm not sure where that money will be allocated. So that is money that would go, we had a survey a couple months ago that was part of the, and Shelley, you might remember this, it was for the parks. Metro is giving money to parks, and we had a choice of a couple different projects that we might allocate it to.
And that's not even a park.
Right. I don't think that we have decided where that money will be allocated,
Because
but
it
that's a
should
shared
go
money
to
we
the
get from
park
Metro.
for the
Mhm.
things that we've needed done for years.
Mhm.
Did the city get the money?
I believe we are getting the money. This would be good to check with the Parks Advisory Committee. I can follow up on that particular
Oh,
point. I'm
Shelley
not sure.
and I are.
Oh.
on
Oh, okay.
it. But we hadn't
I forgot how
heard,
many of you were on it, so yes.
we hadn't heard, and there's a lot of parks projects that need done,
Mhm.
and
I don't think any money is, well, other than engineering studies, you know, I don't think that any money has been allocated towards Second Street Bridge.
and since, is that coming out of Troutdale's budget? The engineering study?
That's a good question.
Yeah, I asked that one. I don't remember that being in the budget. But they have discretionary spending, so.
Mhm.
I have a question.
Sure.
Okay, I know the council, they agreed to something, but I thought it was just to get in the plan that if monies were available, and then later on, if they decided they wanted it, then it was already there. So that's kind of totally separate from like what we're talking about, because from our conversations, I think everybody's been not viewing its necessity or desiring it too. So I understand what you're saying, but at the same time, as a committee, if Chris said that we're representing the citizenry, I think our voice should still be heard. Like some of the negatives I had stated were that, well, first of all, the food carts they hit, they're doing fine with the parking they have. They are taking away some of our parking here. I know the town center will be addressing issues of parking within. We have the brew pub that hasn't even opened yet. We're talking about also that it's not feasible to do a bridge to the confluence area, which we were hoping to have a multi-tier parking structure that was going to take some of the burden away from our lack of parking within the town center. And then there's one thing I brought up is there's also pinch points elsewhere for, it's like we can't build a bridge everywhere we think there's walking issues like Reynolds High School to across the street and such. So the state or the county has already identified that it's going to be very costly to do so. So I'm not sure of all the great or the benefits that we as a committee have stated. So I think it's important that there is a reflection within the paperwork that, you know, because the council isn't done. They haven't decided. They just approved, I believe they just approved something that at a later time, if the monies are available and if they chose to do so, they said, well, you got to say yes to this now, because then that pocket of money or grants or whatever will be available to you if you so desire at a later time. I don't remember them all saying, this is great, this is awesome, we want the bridge. I don't remember that happening.
Well, neither plan, having a project in either the capital improvement plan or the transportation system plan doesn't necessarily mean that you're definitely going to build it or spend money on it. It has to be in both to be possible.
Engineering money on it.
That's true. Yeah, we have spent initial planning, but it doesn't. There has to be, it would have to be in both, and just because it's been adopted in the capital improvement plan, I think we need to advance it for discussion because it was adopted at a higher level. So I want to make sure that it goes to city council, but we can continue to participate in the conversation as it goes.
Yeah, but I'm just saying that if it's possible, because we've spent a lot of time talking about it, if somehow if whoever decides to make it go for it, that those conversations are also included, or it's with dissent or whatever, that nobody thought it was a wonderful idea. They felt the money should be used on other pathways to get into the confluence and such, and did not prioritize it as a city necessity, you know, phrases such as that. And then, so then they understand our thoughts as this did go forward.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Like I said, my concern is if they're having engineering studies and they've already approved, they really want to go ahead with this. Now, I don't know where they're getting it that money. And so then if they don't get the money, then we wasted all the money on the engineering study.
Mhm.
You have, if you have the money, then you get the engineering study. Not do engineering studies and then just throw it down the toilet. And then we never get the money to do it. So I just think it's something that's thrown in there when there's lots of other alternatives. You know, and if everything's doing fine so far. And even if they built a apartment complex, they can cross at the crosswalk.
David?
I did not know that this bridge was already in the CIP. I'm sorry, capital improvement program. That changes a lot for me, because that sounds like it's paid for. And I have a problem with it. Because of all our discussion and what I would consider as that's the last thing we want to see in the transportation discussion. I'm concerned by the design of being so bike unfriendly for access. That's really just a pedestrian bridge. And if it's only a pedestrian bridge, who's it serving? Who's getting the benefit? And it's not the community, it's just the town center. And I have a problem with that. Like I said, this realization changes things in my head.
I would also concur that I don't think it's a good idea. It's on that pedestrian action plan. So that's the stuff we think we're gonna have in the next 5 years. So I don't like it. There's too many people.
It sounds like they've already decided.
Yeah, there's so many other things that we need to do, so.
And we're going into a recession, Terry. This is not wise.
Yeah, I suppose what does the group want for this outcome? I'm hearing some pretty good opposition to it. Are we wanting to formalize a vote that said, hey, we were told we should keep this in here, but this is how we voted? Or we want to say, hey, this is very contentious and there's a lot of discussion that still needs to happen, and the CAC is not comfortable forwarding a yes or a no or whatnot. Like, just, how would you guys like to see it read?
Amasa, go ahead.
I think it was David that mentioned earlier about the bikes coming up to 57th and then turning left in basically the middle of the road onto Columbia River Highway. Were you saying that you do that sometimes, David, when you ride your bike?
That's the safest way to get across the intersection at the moment.
It doesn't feel, as a driver, I feel nervous for those bikers though. I see what you're saying, it's the safest, but it makes me nervous to watch it. Yeah, so making a new way for people to get across to 57th, I'm all for that. But the location of one block up that's not where people are currently walking, it's up further than bikers would go. They would just cross the street there. They probably wouldn't change anything by going up to 57th further if they're going, right out to the gorge or something. So I'm all for improvements and new thinking about how to get people safely across 257th or downtown to those Troutdale food carts, but in a location that people don't use, I'm really concerned about spending money on that personally.
And my understanding is it's a big thing for the apartment complexes coming in.
I would
It's
not
they
say,
wanted it.
I would, I don't, well, I wouldn't say it's their favorite. So it's a housing project. It would be the county is the applicant. And also the county owns the road that the bridge would go over.
Then the county should build the bridge.
So there, well, I wouldn't say either partner is they have concerns. They have concerns about it. We did talk a little bit about that possibly there could be a change to their parking requirement or a variance, but I don't think that that's actually a very big carrot for them. And I would say that the developer is probably would not build this bridge unless they were required to, as a condition of approval for their land development application.
How
Require it need to be in the transportation system plan. We can't require them to build a bridge or contribute paying for a bridge
But
unless it's in
Multnomah County
an adopted.
likes this argument.
No, not really.
No?
No.
And who likes this idea?
I have a question again. So when I went the first couple days to the Troutdale food carts, you could barely get in and out. Even on a quiet time of day, you can barely get in and out of there. There's just not enough parking. And the bartender there said, you know, this isn't working out. It sounded to me like that whoever owns the Troutdale station also owns that land that the bridge would go to. And that they were sort of rethinking whether that was a good idea to sell that to the city. Have there been any updates on that?
I have heard that secondhand as well. I have no direct knowledge of it, but I've heard that.
Because there's definitely not enough parking there and it's hard to get in and out, but. And if I come through my neighborhood, we have to go some sort of all weird way to go into the food carts because there's no left turn there. You can't make a U-turn, you know, so there's several issues with that parking area. To me, there needs to be more parking there personally, but that's what I would vote for.
As far as why this project is in the transportation system plan or who's like championing it, I know that it came from the town center plan, and I'm not sure who among the participants had initially recommended it, but I know it's gained its traction there. And the idea being that it will become an east-west connection for Troutdale and connect to the Halsey corridor and bring people more safely through over 257th and into our downtown. I think that's the positive support behind it. And I don't know further than that exactly who originated the idea, but there are people among city council, there are staff, there are people who are behind it. And if it were to be removed from the transportation system plan, I think that's going to have to happen with planning commission or city council. So what I might recommend is writing up maybe a collective letter, individual letters, and maybe articulating more of your concerns in writing and sending that up to the next public meetings.
Can we also at the same time, maybe make a statement in there that says, something to the effect that it seems as though there's a very group, at least a lot of the comments that are being made, maybe there's people that are being quiet because they really want this and they don't want to be, outed or whatever that is. So I wanted to say this in the most polite way because we're not actually calling a vote, but it seems to be very contentious and like a lot of people against this. And so, although, we have been told that we are not able to remove this at this point, that's why we didn't formalize a vote. However, the majority of discussion was very anti this project, at least until some serious questions can be answered.
Mhm.
Is that fair to everybody to maybe send something like that along? Trying to gauge nods on the screen up there. Okay, what do you guys think? Is that fair?
Yeah.
Anybody opposed and direct like, hey, no?
I'm opposed. I think it's a great project. I always have, and I think that it has potential. And I walk around where it's. Can you not hear me?
No, we can't at all, bud. I'm sorry.
Sorry. Well, maybe that's the Zoom editing me, but you can't hear me at all.
Yeah, we can hear you some.
Comes in and
Okay.
out. I think
I'm not sure why. I guess I have to buy my mic. At any rate, I've always been for this project. Walking around up where it's supposed to go has made me feel like it's got enormous potential to tie the two parts of the city together. And I'm also leaning into the computer, which will do no. But I feel like, and just looking at it, I feel like looking back at it years from now, we'll be very glad that we did. And I feel like with more people coming and going from one part of the city to the other, we will tie them in together. And it's not just cute, it's functional. And so I think if we want the small town brand to keep going, we have to find some way to make the city functional as well. And parking in the carts is not great, and I've stopped going there in the middle of the day. I get latte in the morning, and then I'm done for the day, and it's because of the parking. So I think to address David's concern about the ramp or about bicycles, I think there could be a ramp, a curved ramp, something like what happened to the Hawthorne Bridge, to get people up to the bridge and to get across, and maybe something on the other side as well, so that people who are stuck at the light at 257th and East Historic Columbia River Highway will have a half block to go, ramp up to the bridge and get across without getting creamed by a semi. So I'm the dissenting vote, but I've always thought this is a great idea, and I see the potential for it when there is a housing project there, and when there are more people trying to get back and forth across 257th.
Thank you, Alexander. I think we probably caught maybe around 65 to 70% of what you were saying. Would you please, if you have time, maybe write up a few sentences or paragraphs stating what you mentioned so that we can add that to the comment as well?
Mhm.
All right, probably only 10% of what I said is worth listening to anyway. I will write that up.
But I feel like the 35% of what I'm missing is the meat and potatoes of what you're trying to say. So I think I caught a portion of that, but I would definitely like to have your opinion and your comments included more clearly. And yeah, I'm not necessarily 100% for or against it. I think that there's merits to it. I think there's a lot of questions of how and logistics, but I think more importantly is that we cannot, at our level of discussion, really suss all that out, I guess, if that makes sense, would potentially be the comment that I would.
Shelley?
Yeah, the one thing I would like to avoid is thinking that this bridge is going to solve any parking problems. I know that pedestrians are going to be able to come toward our town as well, But the reality of it is if people are parking downtown and walking across to a business across the street, what they're doing is they're taking parking that belongs to the businesses downtown. So it shouldn't be any part of any solution to our parking problem, because all it actually creates more problems than it solves as far as the businesses in downtown are going to be concerned. So that the pedestrian bridge across Second, while might look really cool, is going to cause problems for traffic going up and down to 57. But one thing it is not going to do is solve any parking problems. So we need to look for our parking solutions elsewhere.
It's too bad that lot that's right by the police station that the bridge would go from can't be parking. Isn't that good parking for the food carts and downtown?
Well, I think the problem is that the area that's slated for the apartment complex, right?
It is, I know, just wishful thinking.
Yeah.
I think it's,
I agree.
by
It is
Metro.
too bad. I would
So-
rather have the parking there than the apartment complex as well, but
I know, I wish Metro would listen to what we would want instead of deciding that, but I think that's owned by them. Is that correct, Melissa? That lot?
It's Home Forward is the agency. It's, the land is owned by the county.
Traffic sold it to the county.
Okay.
So then I guess I would add one comment to that end, although it's slightly unrelated to this. Is I do have to agree with them about that, because I feel like the field is better utilized as parking, because like going back to what I was saying about this last First Friday, granted I went in there late, it was very atrocious to get around there. It was very bad and it got me into an embarrassing situation, and like I liked it better last year when this field was used as parking for that event. And I saw where there were some signs blocking off some parking where I don't see why it couldn't be used as parking for First Friday. And like I had a situation where I was on this road here trying to go out here and turn to go up Buxton. And I had a guy in a truck trying to come in, and then I started trying to go out, but I stopped. And then I had like the person controlling traffic yelling at me to go, but I stopped because there was this line of cars that I thought were the cars in front of me, but it was people that had parked on the side of the road, and I hadn't really paid attention to that, so it was very difficult.
I'm also curious as to why they approved this so fast without waiting to hear from us and the planning commission. And
Yeah, it kind of makes it. Oh, sorry.
and the other one we haven't got to yet is this, the corridor. Why aren't they having another public meeting?
I can't say with 100% certainty, but what I am putting together is that there's a lot, trillions of dollars that were printed and spent. It's being airmailed around, and now they have money and they're saying, hey, write grants, put these projects in because we're going to give them money out soon.
They don't have that much money.
But there's grants that we've applied to the Metro for like at least three or four different projects in Troutdale that we're written grants for, and these are all, I believe, ahead of anything that we're doing. And so they're asking for the money, and in order to get the money, they got to put it in these documents to show. So yes, you're correct. They're putting the cart ahead of the horse, so to speak, because the money is available to try to grab it now, is what I understand is kind of what's happening.
But we never discussed this.
No, agreed. It's that I think that's where the urgency potentially is, and some of these things that are being fast tracked through, and kind of like, oh, we're moving it forward because we want it. The carrot is there, is what I understand. Maybe I'm incorrect in my understanding, but there's a reason why we've got at least 3 or 4 different grants written, and money set aside for a bridge and, you know, the carrots are there, I think, to do some projects. So,
Okay, getting back to what we're supposed to do. I would like to change the wordage on the project as to providing a revision for Second Street. Because if the bridge is going to be built, Second Street, as I mentioned last month at the meeting, has to be considered bike corridor. And that means less parking on Second in order to install bike lanes and make a bike corridor. And I'm conflicted by that because the priority should go to the property owners. But you've got to have a corridor and you got to have parking. That needs to be given some real thought in how that's going to work. So that should be in there somewhere.
Okay. I wonder if we might be interested in writing a letter for and a letter against, kind of like in the voter pamphlet to send up to Planning Commission. I think I heard Alexander say some comments about safety and not wanting to miss this chance. I'm sorry I didn't hear a lot of it, but I remember some of your comments from last time, and I think that might be important to convey from the group to. What do you?
Yeah,
we think
we'll
about two
send
letters.
add those comments in the letter.
Or one letter together with
Yeah.
various
Yeah,
viewpoints.
you said
Sure.
we'll add.
Okay, yeah.
So I guess I'm trying to figure out an appropriate spot to say this, but the one question that I did have, and it might just be my own ignorance, but I was hearing some commentary earlier about kind of the purpose of this and that kind of thing, and I was trying to remember why we're discussing this, like now that I'm seeing all these issues and things, I'm glad we're discussing it, but I don't really know what the purpose is, because I don't recall being asked to like make a recommendation to council or take some kind of action with it.
I think that's what we're trying to do tonight, is on these. This is our opportunity to help forward those questions or comments. Right.
I guess I was just forgetting because this has been our agenda for many months now.
Yeah, trying to tie this one all in a nice little bow. How do we want this to read as best we can? Maybe somebody has some different words or verbiage to use, but what I'm kind of hearing and trying to figure out the best way to do this is that there's a lot of questions. A lot of people are against it. Some people are for it. Some people are maybe in the middle, don't have enough information. Either way, as a group, we're not able to necessarily say 100% yes, 100% no without taking a formal vote. But there was definitely a lot, seemed to be seemingly more, hey, let's slow down. We really got to answer some questions. This may not be right. Who's going to pay for it? Who's going to maintain it? Is this necessary? All these questions without us being able to say, yeah, we're completely for it, or no, we're completely against it. So is there a way that we could tie that in and say that, and then also ask Alexander, because we didn't have a good opportunity to truly hear his input, if he could write a little paragraph as well to add along with that? Does that sound like a reasonable solution to everyone? Yeah.
Can we add the minutes? Can we just staple the minutes to it and say, I know, I'm not kidding, because there's that much that was discussed. It's like,
That's true.
there's still a lot of questions, because a long time ago, I remember that saying that Home Forward needed the parking across the street to offset some of their needs. Okay, so like I said, this is really complicated. Now, does the state owe us something? If this is the best we could get, because we didn't get our library, we were asking for a library, we're asking for other resources on the Home Forward, and we thought we could get something like that, and we didn't, and we're just doing this because this is our way of getting something, which again, how much does it cost us? And then who does it benefit, or does it hurt the town also as far as parking goes? I don't know, it's,
I will
there's
jump
a
in real
lot.
Quick on parking, that there are major rule changes coming from the state, starting in January 2023, end of December. And their parking requirements will vastly drop after that. So if they wanted to wait on their application, it's just, the parking,
goodness.
the benefit of the bridge for their reduction in parking is going to become a moot point, because they could
Right.
actually have far less parking.
We don't have to reduce parking.
No, but we,
No.
yes, we will in next
We
year.
have to
by the
reduce
state.
parking.
Yes.
Declare an emergency thing.
Okay, but
It's the,
Citywide.
when we need more parking, we're gonna have to reduce parking.
that doesn't add up.
Reduced requirement, but not,
They don't-
sorry, I've started a conversation that's much bigger, but there are parking mandates that are coming in 2023 and 2025 from the state that we'll need to implement as a jurisdiction locally.
So right now we have a requirement that an apartment complex is required to have 2 spaces per unit. And that, I think what you're saying, Melissa, is that's changing in December and January to probably 1 space per unit.
Yeah, 1 space per unit, and for affordable housing, 0 requirement.
Yeah.
Oh, not parking. Parking for the units.
Yes, parking for developments. So the requirement will be for us to change how our development code is written and the amount of parking that we require for certain proposals.
Now, can they have more than, I mean, we can't mandate it, but could their engineer design it with more?
Oh, absolutely. It's not a parking maximum. It'd be, yeah, it's not a maximum. It's a minimum. We have to reduce our minimums.
Because all reducing the minimum will do is force cars onto the streets.
You know, developers still might choose to provide more parking, and they can go far above and beyond our minimum. But
I'm thinking down
I'm
the
sorry,
road.
I've thrown a can
I'm
of worms
sorry.
in here
I
that's far
started
bigger
that,
than.
sorry. So, yeah, I'm not sure how we write everything, because there was a lot of different topics that were brought up.
Maybe write the questions down. People are concerned about this bridge because boom, 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 boom.
Definitely.
I will send my blurb to Melissa and she can edit, post it. And I changed my mic. Is it better?
Yeah.
Yes, yeah.
Yes, I'm sorry, I had it going through the wrong spot. Yeah, anyway, I think I'll just send my little blurb to Melissa and she can do whatever she wants with it. Make great Kleenex.
But,
Okay, all right, so I think we'll call Second Street Bridge complete from here. There are a couple more, but we're getting pretty late and we've hit all the project specific ones. I liked the comment that you brought up about the whole plan versus just doing an update for part of the plan. So maybe we can talk about that at the next meeting. I thought that was a good point to explore further. And better ways to capture thoughts that Twyla brought up, I think letters. And maybe we can keep that conversation going for the next plan that we work on together. Have I missed anything that we need to hit tonight on the transportation system plan? I'm sorry this is going late.
2 months left, you said?
Yes.
Well, we can do the rest next time. We had spring water. Is that it?
Well, I don't think we'll have another meeting before planning commission hears it, but we have more time to collect our thoughts in writing and send it in along with this updates. What I will do is send the planning commission packet to all of you as well. So I'll make sure that's routed to you in advance of the meeting. So you'll have time to submit public comment either as a group or individually, and time to think if you'd like to go and give verbal comment. So I will do that. And you mentioned earlier about talking with your neighbors, Will, and I think that that's actually always encouraged. Please share what's happening at the Citizen Advisory Committee and get feedback. That's always welcome.
I was going to ask you this during my comments, but since you brought it up, is that correct that August 23rd is council, August 24th planning, September council discussions again? Is that right?
That is what we have penciled in. That's what I believe will happen. A briefing on the 23rd to City Council, that will be short. And then the 24th, we'll have the Planning Commission hearing that's scheduled at this point. And that, I'm sorry, that has moved a couple times, but there have been various cancellations and that's pushed it back. That's the date I believe it will be on. And that would mean that we would have the hearings with City Council in September. There's a chance it could get pushed into October, but hopefully that would be the latest.
So then the planning commission is not going to see it in July. The first time they're going to see it is August. So then that means you're giving us August off. Is that what we're saying?
Yes, we have August off this at CAC.
When you mentioned also about making sure we get the planning commission packet, could we also request to stay up to speed on whether it's going to be added to the city council agenda, if any of that changes, like that sort of stuff, just kind of help us keep track of the progress. I'll try to do my best and also try to remind everybody as it comes up, but and one more watcher helping to watch would be great. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
So then to clarify, then I guess I'm trying to understand that when we have more time to discuss this when we come back in September, because it sounds like there needs to be a lot more discussion on this.
Yeah, it will have moved on to other levels of public meetings at that point. We could continue maybe our debrief to talk about how we might address plans in the future, but as far as the comments that we are creating collectively, that time period will have been concluded at that point. Does that make sense? Sorry if that was.
Yeah, no,
okay.
I appreciate that explanation. Good question too.
Oh, I
after
see.
having this evening for us to talk again and kind of a little bit more and really dial down on the project you're concerned as a group, I feel better to pass this along with the idea that we also, if we have a specific project or comments, we want to make sure we get out there that we are participating in those public discussion times and non-agenda comments and so on.
Is this our last time to speak to what's in this packet? Is this for us for now? Okay,
Yeah,
then I just
officially.
want to say really quick, corridor A, Halsey Street. I'm not okay with saying to construct facilities according to Main Street on Halsey plan. Last time I did mention that we only have 1 or 2 representatives out of 8 to 10 people. They were all from Wood Village, they're from Fairview, they're from Metro, they're from the county. And to have something stated as that, I would hope that we could include with committee and council input as well, because as we have it here, we're just saying, hey, whatever you guys, and we're the minority partner in all that decision with how many representatives we have in that we're saying, whatever you guys decide, then we as a committee are giving the blessing to do what you will.
Nice catch.
Thanks.
Okay, I think we can add that.
Paul, go ahead when you're ready.
I see, Chris, I also see Paul.
Thank you, Shelley. The last I heard from planning in their last meeting was that the transportation system plan is coming to them on July 27th.
Oh, right. We did talk about that. That's right. However, we do not have enough time to submit this to the state. They have a longer review period. So we're not able to hold the hearing until the end of August. So what I can do is provide a briefing to Planning Commission in July, but the hearing will have to be at the end of August.
Okay.
Thank you.
Right.
Oh, and then Shelley, did she have? I think we're complete with TSP, so we can go.
All right, so then next we have staff communications.
All right. Thank you for hanging in there on this conversation. I'm glad that we brought it back to the trans because you clearly had a lot of more comments and these were really good comments. I'm really glad that we spent the time on it, but I am sorry that it's going late. So I'm going to try and do these really quickly. Thank you so much for the outreach table at first Friday. I had a good time talking with people. I hope you all did as well. We have another opportunity to do one on July 15th and Shelley will be at the movie in the park. It's Encanto, it's Back to the Future. I'll set up the table if you'd like to join that and also do some outreach, please let me know and I would love to have you at the event. We're working on grants for the Riverfront Park and Trail. Presentation to Oregon Parks next week and we'll find out in early fall if we got the Metro grant. We applied for about $2 million to Metro and $750,000 from Oregon Parks. For the council mayor stipend, the new budget was adopted and on June 14th, City Council decided to remove the increase for council and mayor from the budget. No meeting in August for us. We'll meet again September 7th. We'll resume then. And there are several staff positions open currently with Troutdale to the community development director and permit technician 1 are closing on Friday. Please spread the word and know that these positions are open. We have a lot of new people coming on board. The planning technician position or permit technician is open because Ben Gardner, if you've met him, he got a new job. He was our building permit technician and he's now a planner for Westland. We're very happy for him. And I will conclude staff communications there. Thank you so much.
All right. Then we move on to committee comments. Then why don't we start with Nicole?
I don't have any comments. Thank you.
Shelley?
I heard a lot of really great input tonight on this TSP and agree with 99.9% of it that we discussed. Sorry for being so quiet during the discussion, but I've really felt that all of you conveyed wonderful ideas, and I hope that somehow we can convey any concerns that we have onto the Planning Commission, and I'm happy to help with writing up a letter or anything there. Thank you for the vote of confidence and putting me in chair again. I think it's been a pretty interesting year. I've learned a lot of which I have Paul to thank for. Thank you, Paul. And I look forward to seeing what this committee is going to do in the next year.
Well,
Yeah, just wanted to congratulate our new chair and vice chair. Look forward to the next role. And thank you for your facilitation and getting us to a point where we could move forward with these topics.
well,
Yes, same sentiment. Thank you, Melissa. You're awesome. I really appreciate you having on the team here. Appreciate you taking, could have been a tense situation with a lot of, stuff and really making it easy for us. I appreciate that. Kind of on that note, I just want to recap kind of my emotions and whatnot happening since the last meeting and feeling a ton of anxiety up to here about my information I put out and am I going to make everybody mad? Am I going to upset Melissa and so on? But just wanted to reiterate, even though that I've been doing this for a lot of years, it still gets that way. So if any of you, especially the new people, have anything you want to share, don't feel bad about it. Just do it.
For sure.
Speak your mind. So completely off topic, but it did come up regarding the carts versus downtown restaurants. And I gotta say, if you guys haven't been, the new taco shop is amazing. It's so good food. And it is like the best deal ever. It's like 11 something for for a burrito over there. It's like $6.50 over here. We get a meal and add like an extra serving of meat with some extra corn tortillas, and it's enough to feed both of us for like $12 for the night. It's absolutely amazing value. Highly recommend you support them. Same thing with the Italian restaurant across the street. If you haven't taken advantage of their coupons, their lunch specials, their dinner for twos, like support the folks, because I'm sure all the attention, the shine's going over there right now. Don't forget these guys over there. And then that, thanks again, you guys, for an amazing conversation, great meeting. Congratulations to Chris and Shelley, and enjoy the summer. We'll see you in August.
All right. David.
I don't have a lot, but kind of follow up on what Will said. We have new members. And for those of you who haven't been here that long, well, I'll share a story. My first night on this committee a couple of years ago, we talked about electing me one of these office chairs, and I about had a heart attack. But I've never been afraid to speak my mind. Yelled at Melissa, I've yelled at everybody. But it's important to talk. It's important to share what you think, because you may have the perfect point to solve everything. Get involved, speak, communicate to the group. And that's all I got. Thank you.
Victoria.
Nothing more for tonight. Thank you, Melissa.
Okay. Diane.
I'd like to say hi and thank Counselor Glantz for caring and being here. And also Paul, congratulations to Shelley and Chris. Hi to our new members. And Melissa, thank you so much for the great meeting. And she also brought us brownies for those that are in the room. And then I wanted to let y'all know too that when I'm talking equity and climate, I do care. It's much a bigger conversation. I just care for each individual in Troutdale and all of us, everybody being represented. And then also first Friday, I hosted with the Troutdale Historical Society a concert. Our next concert's in September, first Friday. It's 6 to 8, and we have a Grammy winner within this group. It's called Three Together. And we work together with First Friday Art Walk, so we're part of it. And there is a shuttle, really cool bus. The gentleman was very kind. It was a lot of fun. And the stops are Glen Auto Park if you choose to park there. And then it goes to the Art Center, and it comes to the Troutdale Historical Societies, the two museums, the Harlow House and the barn, which we keep both of them open, and then on to downtown Troutdale. So it's a lot of fun. So you could hop. We had a lot of visitors that just hopped and stayed with us for a little while, took advantage of our free popcorn and lemonade, and then moved on. So it was really nice. But this concert is special. They've been here before, so that's Three Together. If you want to look them up, it's folk music, and it's just a pure delight. So yeah, we had a good night. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you all. This is fun. I feel like I'm kind of contributing. Congratulations to the chair and the vice chair.
Alexander.
Thank you, everyone, for your passion. I am delighted that each person is passionate about any topic that we discuss. And I believe that will see us through. I want to thank Sandy Glantz also for coming, and thank you, Melissa, for bringing us all together and tying us up in a little sweet bow. See you in September. Thank you very much.
I just really enjoyed listening to everybody's discussion tonight. I just thought there were a lot of good points and cohesive points and consideration of others, and appreciated that. And just congrats to Shelley and Chris.
I guess that leaves me. So first, I would like to welcome Shelby and Cynthia. Also, congratulations to Shelley and to Nicole for the appointment to the Town Center Advisory Board, the liaison role. Just wanted to say thank you all for a great meeting, and Amasa, I wanted to apologize for mispronouncing your name earlier. And with that, do we have a motion to adjourn?
I'll second. Victoria.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you so much, everyone. Have a great August, and I'll see you in September.
Thank you, Melissa, for everything. Take care.
Thank you, Melissa.